Welcome to the Vin Smoke Benji channel. My name is Benji, and Law is Himothy Neutron, the Himchi. Okay, that last one was kind of weak, not gonna lie. But you get my point. It's Law Peace, baby. In this chapter, we truly see why Law is a part of one of the most fearsome worst generation trios that there is, including Kid and Luffy. And Blackbeard is a little bit to himself because he kind of progressed a little bit faster than the other three, but you get my point. But before I begin, I do want to kind of get a little bit more clarity. I know that last week I was not able to do a chapter review. Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. Unfortunately, I had a little bit of a health scare, so I had to go to the hospital, and I wasn't able to make a chapter review. But I still read the chapter, and I will detail a couple of the things that happened in last week's chapter in this chapter review. So, a couple of things from last chapter that I would like to pinpoint before I begin this chapter review. Bonnie had some beautiful artwork reminiscent of Robin and Ennis Lobby. Aokiji is that man, and it's kind of confirmed that he is a part of the Blackbeard Pirates, but I do think that he has some underlying motives going forward that we'll just have to wait and see what they are. But I will say I still think that his ties with the Marines is severed. But most importantly, what happened last chapter was a new battle has commenced between the Blackbeard Pirates and the Heart Pirates, including Trafalgar, Waterdeep, Goat Law, and Blackbeard. And this undoubtedly is the hypest thing that has happened since the ending of Wano. And I'm not gonna lie, I kind of reiterated this, well, I guess in my head because I wasn't able to really record, but I kind of reiterated this. This seems like a very interesting battle, especially with Law seemingly being a one-man band. But this chapter in particular kind of proves that a little bit different, and I'll let you know what that means. But anyways, really quick, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the Vin Smoke Benji channel, as well as the Geek Giant podcast channel. I'll be making content on both channels from here on out. Make sure you subscribe for more anime and manga content, and as well, go ahead and join our Geek Giant Discord. I will be boosting my boy Law, especially since it's break week this following week. So go ahead and join our Discord. But no more wasting your time. Let's go ahead and begin with chapter 1064 of One Piece, Egghead's Research Stratum. And to start off, we start off with a cover page detailing what is happening on Whole Cake Island. And I'm not going to toot my own horn, but I was kind of right. It was both Vin Argar of the Blackbeard Pirates and finally confirmed Aokiji were the ones who invaded Cacao Island, and it seems like we know their motives, which I feel like everyone already knew, that they were there to go ahead and kidnap Pudding. Now, this was theorized by a lot of people within the One Piece community, but I do want to know, what are Aokiji's motives? I know that he's sort of kind of playing the double agent role, where he's basically, basically trying to get some intel on the Blackbeard Pirates and how they operate. And I guess this Whole Cake Island incident, where he basically freezes all of Cacao Island, was basically used as a way to kind of show that his loyalty to the Blackbeard Pirates in a way. And another question is he truly a part of Sword? And also, is Law a part of Sword as well? Now, I don't have too much evidence of Law being a part of Sword, but I will say this, I'm very curious to know the time period in which Law actually received his Opi no Mi from Corazon, and the period of time in which we actually first got introduced to him in Sabaody. Between that time, he had to have been learning about his Opi no Mi as well as learning his swordsman skills. So I really want to know, between that period of time, where was Law and who was training him? And the only answer that kind of makes sense would be Sword, especially with Corazon's connections to the Marines. A lot of questions to be answered a little bit later on, and also I do want to kind of get a little bit more insight on maybe the Rockport incident. I do want to see what happens with that. But anyways, moving on to the actual chapter. Now, I don't think a lot of people have spoken on this, but the paneling in the last two chapters is very much peak. It's actually made this fight a little bit more immersive than some of the fights within Wano. But anyways, we start off with Blackbeard riding his trusty steed, Stronger, and along with him is Doc Q. Law and Blackbeard finally clash, and as expected, Blackbeard truly underestimates Law's abilities. Now, right before this clash, Sachi and Penguin of the Heart Pirates are given orders to maintain cover within the sea. Their ship is a little bit more versatile because it's a submarine. Blackbeard tried to stop any attempts at escaping, but his hands are pretty much full with Big Daddy Law. Too much? That's too much? Okay. I understand. Law uses room, and Blackbeard soon notices that this isn't the same Law from before, and that Law has finally awakened his devil fruit. As a counter, Blackbeard uses his Quake fruit and sends shockwaves to the neighboring island, which we soon know is called Winner's Island. And this is where Law's crew is currently. Now, quick side note, I do want to kind of mention that we don't see Burgess and we don't see a couple of the other members of the Blackbeard Pirates within this chapter. We do see Van Argar, but we don't see, obviously, I guess, Aokiji, Burgess, who was in the last chapter, and then I think there's another character that I'm missing, but I could be wrong. So then we move on to Doc Q, who is with Stronger, and he drops apple bombs on the neighboring Law crew members. Yet coming out of nowhere, we actually see Shachi coming out of nowhere, and basically he putting in more work than Beppo, who is supposed to be Law's right-hand man. I digress. And basically he used kind of like this Squirtle kind of watering attack. Basically he blows out water, and basically he makes these apple bombs explode, basically protecting the crew. Then he proclaims that the Heart Pirates are not to be underestimated, especially since a lot of the crew members grew up within the harsh waters of the North Blue. Sea battles are what they specialize in. And this is actually dope because I'm not gonna lie, I feel like a lot of people kind of wrote off the Heart Pirates in a lot of aspects, but the fact that they seem to be one of the more specialized crew when it comes to sea battles, which we don't necessarily see too much in One Piece, I actually find this very interesting. We then see Beppo, who is as useless as always. Then we continue the main battle, and Law uses one of his strongest attacks, Shock Willie, against Blackbeard. And immediately does what seems to be critical damage to Blackbeard. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Blackbeard looks pretty f***ed up after this attack, but he then soon smiles and asks to go ahead and continue his battle with Law when speaking with Van Argar. Law and Blackbeard finally land on the nearing island. And Law asks the question, do all of your crewmates have devil fruits? And then he continues, must be a pretty raw deal hauling around so many anchors. They call them devil fruits for a reason. Blackbeard simply responds that the weakness is well worth the trade-off. Cutting back to Blackbeard's ship and Law's ship, the Heart Pirates submarine is actually causing some major damage to Blackbeard's ship from under the ocean. We then cut to a small prison cell within the barracks of the Blackbeard ship. And lo and behold, we actually get a first sighting of Pudding since Whole Cake Island, and she has her third eye. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I've read both the OP scans as well as the TCB translations. Now, I do want to see what the third eye that Pudding has actually is capable of, whether or not she is able to see whether or not people within the world of One Piece are still alive, that she's communicated with. I'm not 100% sure, or I know at least that you are able to read the poneglyphs. We cut back to the battle between Law and Blackbeard, and it looks like this battle is getting serious. And then we end with a panel of Law looking very interested in seeing what Blackbeard's movement is going to be. And then we see Blackbeard smiling, and he simply says, Black Vortex. Now, I'm not gonna lie, the last time that we did see Black Vortex, it didn't end well for the opponent. But I will go ahead and say this, I do feel like Law is a very capable opponent for Blackbeard, and I do think that this battle is really going to hurt both of them at the end of its results. Now, with that being said, I don't believe that Blackbeard will lose. I do believe that Blackbeard will come out victorious, I guess, in a way, but there will be consequences for not only him, but also his crew. Whether that be with the internal damage that's been happening to his body, or the actual Blackbeard ship really kind of being dismantled by the Heart Pirates. Now, I know a lot of people were saying last week that Law was going to die, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. From this chapter alone, it looks like Law can actually hold his own. And I'm very excited to see because it's Law Piece week, baby! And it's a break this week, so, you know, I can kind of celebrate my Law Piece. But I will say this, I do feel like worst case scenario for Law, he'll probably just have to give up his poneglyphs. Or if something else happens. We still don't know the whereabouts of Kobe. Kobe is supposed to be on the ship as well. And we could get, hopefully, we'll see, I don't know. We could get some remnants of Law being a part of SWORD, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't think that Law is going to die. He's too integral to the One Piece story, as well as his communication or his connection to the D clan lineage. I feel like he has a lot of story left in One Piece. But we actually get a very special guest appearance from none other than Akainu. And it seems like he's monitoring this fight very much well from the shadows. And he says this: "So we're forced to wait again. Being Fleet Admiral is so frustrating." Now, I do believe Akainu's reason for saying this is more so related to Kobe. I think they're trying to go ahead and rescue him. I'm not 100% sure how they're going to do it, but I do believe that SWORD is going to take a part in this battle. Now, whether or not we see Drake, because I thought he died, I guess he didn't die. He may come out of the woodworks. I mean, he's not going to be too much help against Blackbeard, but, you know, I digress. Now, another thing that I would like to see is I'm not 100% sure who is kind of detailing this information to Akainu. Maybe there's a double agent on either the Blackbeard pirate side or Law's pirates. So who knows? And I would say more so Law's pirates because maybe, like I said before, he could be a part of SWORD. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have evidence, but we can see. But unfortunately, that's the end of this battle. But I will 100% say that Law in this chapter himself showed why he has a 3 billion berry bounty. And I want to go ahead and address all of the toxic Zoro fans. Not every Zoro fan. Come on, man. There's absolutely no way that Law is not stronger than Zoro. I don't even know where this came from. Law has always been stronger than Zoro. But, you know, I digress. But, you know, there's absolutely no way after this chapter you can say that. Law is him. He's Himothy. He's Hemi Neutron. Stop playing with him, dog. Stop playing with him. I do hope that Oda actually lets the fight go on a little bit more, but I know that inevitably plot will take over and Blackbeard might become victorious, or at least Law will be able to escape, or somebody will step in. But moving on, we cut to Bonnie, who has transformed the group that she is with to aged individuals, for better or for worse. And it looks like Luffy has aged to his SBF caricature of how he would be if his dreams don't come true at an older age, and he looks absolutely terrible. As well as Chopper. And we also see a younger version of Jinbei, and I do kind of want to see if we see a Seraphim that kind of looks just like Kid Jinbei. I think that would be very cool, and Jinbei looks real cool in this panel as well. But basically, they are aged because last chapter the robot police who looked like Kuma was attacking, and this was a way to not get hit by the police officer. But in this chapter, we learned some very detailed information. And I'll kind of put it into points, that way it's not too long of dialect. First off, Kuma was once known as the tyrant of the Sorbet Kingdom, before he was disposed of by his people and forced out and became a pirate. He was eventually captured by the Navy and was given a life sentence for his ties with the Revolutionary Army. Vegapunk took interest in him because of his physical abilities, and he was offered a position as a warlord, on the condition that soon he'd become a subject for cloning and body modification. This actually confuses Bonnie because during all of this happening, she kind of understood the warlord part, but not necessarily the body modification part. She didn't think that her father wanted to become a cyborg. Even Jinbei expresses confusion on what did Kuma do to receive a life sentence. Bonnie gets absolutely frustrated because why would her father abide by the rules of the world government when he hates the world government? Bonnie destroys stuff and old Luffy is in shock, and it looks pretty funny, I'm not gonna lie. Bonnie is still upset with Vegapunk because essentially Vegapunk murdered her father. But Bonnie soon turns the group back to normal, I guess because the police officer left, and God, she a baddie, my boys. But Bonnie says something incredibly interesting, and she says this: Dad always used to say he was a part of a very special race. But so what? Him being different doesn't justify forcing him to be a lab rat, and it sure as hell doesn't justify killing him. And she is saying this while being double cheeked up on a Thursday, my boys. Excuse me. Yeah. But anyway, the real question is, what race could Kuma possibly be? Is it one that is related to some of the hieroglyphics that we saw in some of the cover spreads with a nail that was included on the moon with the automatas? Who knows? But I'm very interested to see what is Kuma's race and how it will be integral to the One Piece storyline. But I'm not gonna lie, this arc itself has so many things to unravel. I'm very interested in this arc. I'm very engaged in what is going to happen. And I also like how Oda's kind of going back and forth between a very decisive battle and more of the lore that kind of goes into One Piece. It's a good combination of the two, kind of giving those One Piece fans their fights and also more so the One Piece theorists their information. We then continue with the last leg of the chapter, and we actually continue with Frankie's group. Now, Lilith, who is Vegapunk number 2, the baddie, has decided to go ahead and take this group of Straw Hats to the main laboratory. Now, Brook and Zoro actually decide to go ahead and stay behind and not accompany the rest of the Straw Hats on this little Vegapunk laboratory journey. But I will say this can mean one of two things. This can mean that Brook and Zoro are out of this story plot with Vegapunk, which was kind of suck. I do kind of want to see what was Zoro's request of Vegapunk. I'm pretty sure it had something to do with the smile fruits with Wano. Also, it could mean that, I don't know, maybe Zoro and Brook just don't have any storylines within this arc. So I don't know, who knows? But that's not slander. That's not slander. I'm just saying them staying behind is pretty evident of something. That's all I'm saying. But on the other hand, Brook and Zoro could actually be the first two individuals who actually encounter the CP0 agents, which we know are coming to Egghead Island. So that could be something as well. So hopefully we get a couple of battles on that front as well, because we do need some Brook hype. Zoro got a lot of hype in Wano, but we do need some Brook hype. But the group that is with Vegapunk number 2, Lilith, is actually conveniently right above Luffy's group. So basically, Vegapunk has a separation of his research laboratory. The one above is separated by these dope clouds that are very reminiscent of the clouds within Skypiea. And it is primarily used for the fabrication stratum, while the below portion for Luffy and his group is for manufacturing and research. Lilith introduces the crew to the main laboratory and actually explains why these sky clouds are able to be inhabited by this climate. But she also lets them know that before entering and seeing Vegapunk number 1, that they are going to have a change of clothes. So that means new fits. That means we get some bangers. And that also means we get some weak ass fits as well. Bro, why did Oda do this to Sanji though, man? He could have got something way more drippier. Usopp look drippier than Sanji, man. Come on, man. We're tired of the Beach Boy fits. Stop playing with us, man. Come on, man. Everyone else's fit looks pretty amazing, and in particularly Robin's. And I also really do like Frankie's fit as well. So then we end the chapter with a conversation that Vegapunk number 1 is having with a mysterious figure. And it goes like this. The problem with being a genius is that you see your own future coming too. The person replies, "What are you talking about, Vegapunk?" Vegapunk says, "I think I'll be dead soon." They reply, "Don't kid about something like that." And Vegapunk ends the chapter saying this: "I just wanted you to know about this, Dragon." So we somehow get some confirmation that in some way, shape, or form, there's actually a cordial relationship between the famous Vegapunk and Dragon. And that is the end of the chapter. Unfortunately, there is a break next week, but I'm very excited to see what transpires. There's so many interesting things that have happened after Wano. This is going to be crazy. I want to see what Vegapunk number 1 has to say to Frankie, Sanji, Nami, and Robin. What will be the outcome of Law and Blackbeard? What is this special race that Kuma is a part of? So many questions to be answered. And the most important one, which was left on a cliffhanger, what is Dragon's or the Revolutionaries' relationship to the famous Vegapunk? Is Vegapunk secretly a revolutionary member? But with that being said, that'll be it for this chapter review. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe if you made it all the way to the end of the video. I love you guys so much. Thank you for all the love and support. I will see you guys in the next one.